Voss here with an Ableton tutorial for you. So today I want to look at how to bring projects from Logic and other DAWs into Ableton for a performance. So we can trigger different sections of our track, bring things in, and it works well without triggering wrong parts or making different sections come in at the wrong time. This is probably focused more toward traditional recorded music rather than DJ'd tracks that are suited to performing them different parts by being launched in this way. And my first experience with live was that it was something that was really cool, and I really wanted to be able to bring my tracks in and perform them live using Ableton when I realised what it could do. So a little side note, I've got two versions of Ableton here, 64-bit and 32-bit, which Ableton now allows you to have downloaded, and I've just coloured my 64-bit version here so I know which one I'm running at any time, and I'll show you in another tutorial how to do that. But let's get into it. I'm going to open up my Ableton Live 9 version here, and I've already put in my stems by dragging and dropping them onto new audio channels here. So this is my track, and this is a little bit what it sounds like at the moment. So there's a little ambient piece and things come in throughout at different places. You've got the keys coming in to start with, and quite a lot of silence in these other tracks here. So don't worry about if you've got different sections like this where there's gaps in the WAV, that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to use those in this tutorial. So first of all, the aim is to get your track into session view here so it can be performed. So we can click on different different clips or an entire scene and launch it whenever we want to make the performance a bit more exciting for maybe an electronic piece like this. So we need to transfer it from our arrangement view here, which is much like Logic, and move it towards the session view, which is Ableton's unique selling point, the main feature of it. To do that, what's a good idea to do is to try to decide on a restriction, a length of clip that you're going to stick to, so that when you're playing through, things can move together down as a row if they need to, or you can play them and know how long they're going to last. It just helps to organise your performance a bit. So what we could do is I'm decided on eight bars. That kind of worked for my project here. As you can see, that's pretty much how things come in. So what we need to do is, if we click this loop icon over the top here, it hovers over, it highlights all of these WAVs as we go down here for every channel, and that's quite useful because then we can click the key command, Command E, and it will take a chunk out of that WAV, or take a chunk of empty silence and make an empty clip that's 8 bars long. And that chops it into our first clip. So when we move these to the session view, that will be our first clip. That will be across the different channels. So if you move that by clicking and dragging and then hitting Command E, and we do this several times, it starts to break our track down into playable little sections, which is what we're after. We're after parts. And don't worry that if your audio file here doesn't quite finish at the end of the clip, that's absolutely fine, because remember, you're sticking to your arrangement in some respects. So you don't have to fill every clip. So let's just keep dragging it over, and I'm going to keep taking chunks, and it's doing it all the way down across all our tracks. It's just Command E every time. And yeah, nearly there, a bit further. So it takes a bit of preparation to get a track like this ready to play back in Ableton. I've recently started just producing music straight into Ableton, as it's already ready to play, and I've even started writing in session view, which a lot of people said tends to hinder them creating original stuff, and it makes them need to get stuck in a bit of a loop rather than building a full track, but I found it's quite handy. So next thing we want to do is I'm just going to in fact hit Command A, select all, and move back to the start here, and we're going to grab these clips now. I'm going to click and hold and drag them over to this session view clip here. Now it'll take us into session view with these clips with us. Okay, so move it over here. Here we go, and if you see, when I hover over here, and move these towards their position where they'll end up, it's already created all these little clips for us. So I'm going to drop these here. And don't worry too much about the red line out around the outside. That's my launchpad noticing that we've got some clips now that we can play back, and it's ready to play them. It just automatically maps to that. So here's all my clips, and they're all ready to go. Now what we can do is we can just play them back with the scene, the scene play button here, and it will just move. It'll play that one either on loop if that's what we've got the clip set to. Down here under launch, it'll either be looped or it'll play back in order, or whatever we tell it to do. Really, that's the great thing about Ableton. You can set your piece out however you want to, and as we move through, it'll play a section. So it'll play through whatever we tell it in order, much as we could have done if we just hit play in Logic. So at the moment we're not really making the most of Ableton's abilities. So we talked about in the previous view there being silences in your audio file down here at the bottom and gaps in it, and I said to you that don't worry about that, and actually do worry about that. It's quite important, because if you take away this clip here and then you start playing things back down here through your scenes, and you're expecting this drum kit here on the first channel to trigger when the horizontal other parts next to it play, Ableton tends to get a bit out of sync because it treats that as the first clip. So it should, in Ableton's mind, it should be here with the others playing. But what happens is it tends to get a little bit out of sync, and therefore this one comes in out of sync with the others after they've played, and it got quite frustrating when I first did that. I thought this isn't very simple. That's what I wanted to do, and I thought by deleting all of these it would clear up any wasted space here. But what actually these do is they can work well as dummy clips. So if these do exist, Ableton will acknowledge it and then move on to the next clip as it should have been, in order with everything else. So that's great, and that keeps your project moving forwards, going downwards, much as it would have done anyway. But we're trying to make this piece something that's playable live, and sometimes when the moment takes you, you might want to go and hit this play button here to bring in what you think might be a drum kit, because these are all drum kits, they're in our drum channel. And you go for a big drop, you go to hit that pad button on your launch pad, and then nothing will come out of there, and nothing will change other than what's already playing. So that might be a bit embarrassing, not the kind of effect you want. So what I tended to do was just recolor these to something else, so I could tell they were separate from the main ones. Just flick through, find anything that's got complete silence in, and color it. This one hasn't got complete silence in. It does play something a little bit further down, but we still want to know that when we hit it, it's not going to trigger immediately. There's not going to be sound immediately because of where it's positioned. And we don't want to just simply loop it around there, because this part is destined to come in at the end in time with the part that's next to it. So what I would do is just colour that one again as well, just another colour, or even the same as that one, just to make sure that we're not going to just expect something from that clip as soon as we do it. So we can flick through it. It takes a little bit of time to organise a session like this, and again that's why I moved to just writing everything in Ableton, because once you get your head around it, it's pretty good for that. So again, we can do that on all the clips, and in fact what I might just do is show you what will happen if we don't do that. So let's just delete that here. So here it's playing, these are all playing fine, this one should be playing, so I move down, and it starts to get messy, starts to get a bit out of sync and a bit messed up. The other thing, yeah, let's just stop that playback there. So now we have a little bit of control over all of our parts. The launch pad though, however, will only loop around, as you see, the first so many parts. It's so the first 16 really, the grid of 16. So what we need to do then is the launchpad has pages and we can just move down throughout those. That's not a problem. The other thing I tended to do was, that's one track. If you want to bring in another track, if we hit Command I, we can bring in some more scenes. Is to rename parts though. So here is where I'd probably put another track. So we go to rename, we call that, we should call it second track. And then start to colour it here as well. So let's just give that a different colour. There we go. This can be track 1. The other good thing to do is start to colour your sections. So say this is a chorus or something. We're going to right click this and give that a chorus name and just try and make things as easy as possible as when it comes to playback, so especially if you've not played your music live in this way before using technology like this. It might be a bit daunting. You might give yourself some visual guidance. I mean, no one's going to see this apart from yourself, so it doesn't really matter. The audience won't know. So the other thing we might want to consider is with our clips, we can launch them in different ways. So depending on what sort of layout we're after, we may want to launch them in different ways, and we've got these different functions down here to do that. A colleague of mine uses Ableton Live with a key foot pedal, and he plays Kaylee's, so he wants to sometimes be able to jump back to the top of a section of clips to repeat that section once they've played through, and you can do those things here. So down here we've got a follow action, and we've got 2 little boxes here. We've got a series of different controls, so once that clip is played we can assign it a behavior that it will do once it's played. So either stop, play again, play the previous clip, so go up vertically up, play the next one. This clip can be played as the first or last in a section, any action, or another, so another sort of random action. And then down here we've got a scale. If we click and drag here, we've got a probability of how much that action is going to happen. And then also we've got a secondary action, so there's 2 different things. So we can set it to sometimes play again and a probability, or sometimes play the previous clip and a probability, which is good if you want a sort of random settings. So what we can do is we can set that to play in different orders and play back. But for this example, for playing back your tracks live, I just wanted to show you how to start to build your track and play it back through the session view window, which is just pretty awesome if you want to have some electronic drums come in and you want that particular sound and you want to play with a live drummer as well, or you're playing guitar or playing something else and you want those to come in at a set time, and it's the same composition you made in Logic or another DAW. Okay, so that's all. Stick around for some more tutorials and subscribe to the page. Thanks.